All right, folks, sorry I couldn't be with you to introduce you to the topic of Locus today. But at any rate, we are going to go ahead and get started because it is important that we keep on moving forward, and so I'm preparing this video for you. So first things first, what is a locus? Simply put, a locus is just a set of points that satisfies a condition or meets a condition. So I'm going to go ahead and say a set of points that satisfies a certain condition. And on Thursday, we're actually going to take a look at this and have more than one condition be satisfied. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the procedure for discovering a locus. This is down at the bottom of your paper because had I been here, we would have done things a little bit differently today. So to discover a locus, the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to make a diagram that contains the fixed lines or fixed points that are given. So there are always going to be points or lines that are given to you to start with, and that is logically where you're going to start. Then you're going to decide what the condition is that needs to be satisfied. Once you've decided what the condition is that needs to be satisfied, you're going to locate one point that satisfies that condition. Once you've located one point, you're going to locate additional points. This should be enough to help you develop what the shape of the locus is going to be like. Then you're going to use those points to either draw a line if your figure is straight or a smooth curve, and then describe the locus using an equation or in words. All right, there are 5 fundamental loci, that's the plural of the word locus, that you need to know and be aware of. And that's what I'm going to talk about here for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. So looking at the first one, the locus of points at a given distance d from a given point is, and here's where we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the givens. What we're given here is simply 1 point. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 1 point. That's my given. That's where I'm beginning. I'm going to think about this instead of a given distance d, I might think about this a given distance of 5 units away from that point. So the criteria that needs to be satisfied, or the condition that needs to be satisfied, is I need all points that are going to be 5 units away from this given point. So I'm going to go locate some that might be a unit or a distance of 5 units away. That guy might be 5 units away. This guy, 5 units away. Notice that these distances are approximately equal. This guy, 5 units away. This guy, 5 units away. This guy, 5 units away. 5 units away. 5 units away. So I'm just going to keep putting in there points that are all 5 units away from that black dot until I figured out what the shape of my locus is going to be. And at this point, I'm starting to get the sense or the feel that my locus is going to be in the shape of a circle. Now, each locus is going to be drawn using a dotted line, or in this case, a dotted curve. So dotted will always represent the shape of our locus. So now we need to go ahead and we need to say what it is that we drew. We drew a circle. And in order to describe a circle, we really need to name 2 things. We need to tell where the center of that circle is, and we need to tell what its radius is. So I'm going to say that the center is at the given point. And I was a little sneaky here at the beginning, and I changed this D to a 5 units. That really could be 5 units, could be 10 units, could be 32.5 units, could be anything I want. The point is the radius of that circle is going to be whatever that given distance is. So I'm going to say the radius is d units, where d is the given length, whether it's 5, 10, 22, whatever it is. But again, some important things that we did here is we identified the given point or the starting point. We looked at some points that were 5 units away from that. We sketched in enough of those points until we could tell that our locus was going to end up in the shape of a circle. We drew our locus using the dotted or the dashed line, or in this case a curve, and then we described what our locus is in words. All right, the second locus condition that you need to be aware of is the set of points that are going to be equidistant from two parallel lines. So again, the very first thing I'm going to do is identify what it is that I'm starting with here. Since it says from two parallel lines, that's where I'm going to be starting. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch in my two parallel lines. It doesn't matter whether I make them horizontal, vertical, sideways, as long as those two lines are parallel. I can make them close together, I can make them far apart. As long as I'm meeting or satisfying that given condition, as long as I'm making two parallel lines, it's all good. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to identify the criteria or the condition that needs to be met. We need points that are equidistant from each of those. So equidistant means same distance to one line as it is to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by locating just one. That purple dot is the same distance to the top line as it is to the bottom line. This purple dot, same distance to the top line as it is to the bottom line. This purple dot, same distance here as it is here. This purple dot, same distance up here as it is to down there. And so on and so forth. So I'm just going to continue to draw in those purple dots in such a manner that it's the same distance to the line on the top as it is on the bottom. And you can see now as I continue to add those points, my locus is starting to take shape. Unlike the first locus, which was curved, this locus is going to end up being a straight line. So now that I have enough points in there so I can get a feel for what it's going to look like, I'm going to go ahead and sketch in my straight line. And now I need to describe it. So first things first, what geometric shape was it that I drew? Well, that's pretty simple. It's a line. And now I need to describe that line. I'm going to use the word midway. Midway between the given lines. And it's also parallel to the given lines. So again, first thing I'm going to name what shape it was that I drew. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to describe in words exactly what it was that I drew. So again, the criteria here, or the starting point here was the two parallel lines. The condition that needed to be met was I needed the set of points that's equidistant from each of those two given lines. So that's the second condition or the second case that you need to be aware of. The third case says the set or the locus of points at a specific distance from a given line. So what we're given to work with here is simply one line. Once again, I'm going to use my black pen to go ahead and start with that given line. Doesn't make a difference where that is. I'm going to name this specific distance, and again, this is just going to make it a little bit more concrete so that we have something to look at and play with. I'm going to say 2 units away from that given line. So I'm going to go find a point that's 2 units away. That distance is 2. That distance is 2. This distance is 2. This distance is 2. This distance is 2. So I can see rather quickly that I'm developing over here a line on the right hand side of that given line. But while I have a whole set of points over here that's 2 units away from this given black line, I've also got a whole set of points over here that are 2 units away from that given black line. And I can't neglect those. I have to include those in my locus. They're still part of the set of points that's 2 units away from that given line. So at this point, I've now sketched all of the points that are exactly 2 units away from that given line. I need to now go ahead and describe exactly what it is that I drew. So my locus here are these two lines. I might say that they're parallel to the given line. With the given line midway between them. So again, I started with the given. I found points that met the criteria that was asked of me. Once I had enough points to know what the shape was, I sketched the shape, I named the shape, and I described what it was that I had sketched. All right, the fourth condition, or the fourth locus that you need to be aware of, is the set of points that is equidistant from two intersecting lines. So again, I'm going to start by identifying where it is that I'm supposed to begin. And in this particular case, I'm supposed to start with two intersecting lines. So these can be any way you want them, as long as they intersect. So there's my two intersecting lines, and I want the locus of points. The criteria that needs to be met is that my new set of points needs to be equidistant from each of those. So I'm going to go find one that's the same distance to this black line as it is to this black line. This one, same distance here as it is to here. This guy, same distance here as it is to here. This guy, same distance there as it is there. Same distance there as it is there. So I can see rather quickly that I'm developing or ending up with one line. But I've also got some points here, such that it's the same distance to that black line as it is to that one. Same distance here as it is to here. Same distance there as it is to there. And I can see that my locus over here is also taking the shape of a line. So when I go ahead and describe my locus, I'm going to start by describing exactly what it is that I drew. I drew two lines. And I'm going to say that these lines, because these distances all need to be the same, I'm going to say that they're the angle bisectors of the angles formed by the given lines. So that's the fourth general locus that you need to be aware of. And then the last one says the locus of points that's equidistant from two fixed points is, so again, the very first thing I'm going to do is identify what it is that I'm starting with. So my given is two fixed points. I'm going to go ahead and put those fixed points in there, maybe in blue this time. So that's what I'm given to work with. And I want the set of points that's equidistant from each of those blue points. So in other words, the same distance to one of those blue points as it is to the other. So that guy right smack dab in the middle, going to be the same distance to the blue point on the left as he is from the blue point on the right. There's going to be a guy up here that's the same distance to this blue point as he is to the blue point on the right. There'll be somebody in here. Same distance to this blue point on the left as he is to this blue point on the right. There'll be somebody down here who's the same distance to the blue point on the left as he is to the blue point on the right. So on and so forth. And I'm going to go ahead and sketch. I might think about some of these points over here, but this point over here closer to the blue point on the left than he is to the one on the right. He's not equidistant. There might be some points over here, but again, these points over here are going to be closer to this blue point on the right than they are the blue point on the left, and therefore they don't fit or meet the criteria. So this guy's going to end up being a line. And his description is a little bit tricky until you think about the line segment that joins those 2 points. That line is the perpendicular bisector of the segment formed by the 2 given points. I'm going to say the line segment joining the 2 given points. All right, so at this point there's some problems on the back side that I want you to try on page 4. Give these a whirl, see what you can do with those. I did not leave an answer key for you anywhere. We'll check them when I come back to school, hopefully tomorrow if my daughter's done being sick. We'll check and see where you are, and then we'll move into locus in the coordinate plane. You know, like always, if you have questions after watching the video, it would be a great idea to jot them down here at the bottom of page 3, just so that if you forget between now and the time I return to school, you'll be able to ask your questions and get those questions and concerns clarified. All right, so till next time I see you, have fun with your locus, and hopefully I'll be back in school on Wednesday and we'll take this to the next step.